Hey everyone, I'm Danny and welcome to Muggle Magic. This video is all about the Move tool in Photoshop, and I know what you're thinking, what could there possibly be to fill an entire video about the Move tool, because it's basically, it just moves things around. Well, no, there's actually a lot more to it than that. It can do more than just move things around in Photoshop, and that's what we're gonna go over in this video. And I don't want to clog my video feed up on Muggle Magic with Photoshop tutorials, so I've created a brand new channel called Photoshop Wizardry, where I'm gonna be posting all of my Photoshop tutorials. I'll leave a link to it in the description box and a card up in the corner, so go ahead and go over there and subscribe if you're interested in learning more about Photoshop. I'll be posting videos kind of side by side when it comes to Photoshop on Muggle Magic and Photoshop Wizardry, but eventually, hopefully soon, I'll only be posting my Photoshop tutorials on Photoshop Wizardry. That way I leave more time for, DIYs on this channel. And this video was brought to you by Skillshare. A premium membership gives you unlimited access, so you can join the classes and communities that are just right for you and your New Year goals. Whether you want to fuel your curiosity, creativity, or even career, Skillshare is the perfect place to keep you learning and thriving in 2019. I found on Skillshare a whole set of videos on Photoshop, and you are gonna find a ton on Photoshop and all of the Adobe products. So if you're actually getting started on YouTube, this would be a great place to learn some stuff from like Premiere Pro and After Effects and Photoshop. You'll need those skills as well. Skillshare is also very, very affordable with an annual subscription of less than $10 a month. Join more than 7 million creators learning with Skillshare. The first 500 of my subscribers to use the link in the description will get a 2-month free trial. So if you're interested in 2 free months, go down to the description box and click the link right now just to make sure that you are one of the 500 people to get that. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into the tutorial. So I've prepared this file in Photoshop just for this tutorial. I've got a few images here that I just found online and pulled in here. So as you can see, each one is a different layer over here in the layers panel. And you'll find the Move tool in Photoshop right here. It's going to be the very first tool in your tool panel. So the Move tool has a few different uses actually. And it can be used to move layers, it can be used to duplicate layers, or it can be used to move a selection or duplicate a selection. So once you have the Move tool selected, there are different options up here. And you can choose to auto-select, which means if you click on something, it will auto-select the layer that you're clicking on. As you can watch over here in the layers panel, you can see that I'm selecting different layers just by clicking on them with the Move tool. However, I like to keep that unchecked because if you hold the Control key or Command on Mac, you can do that same thing just by clicking. And I find that a lot better than having it select by default, because then you're in more control of what layer you're selecting and when. You can also change the select from group to layer. So let's say I'm gonna put Hedwig and the Sorting Hat in a group together. So now I have group 1 right here with Hedwig and the Sorting Hat in it, and then Hermione and Dobby are just single layers. So if I have the layer selected and I hold Control or use the auto select, and click, you can see if I have the layer selected, I can select the Hedwig layer and the Sorting Hat layer. However, if I change layer to group, then you'll see that I'm just selecting the group. It doesn't matter which one of these two I click on, it's just going to keep that group selected. However, if I click on Dobby or Hermione, it selects the single layer because they're not in a group. So I really do like to keep it as layer unless I need to select the group for some reason. You can also check transform controls, and that will show all the different transform controls right here on the layer that you have selected. And if I select the group, it'll do the entire group. So that's kind of an alternative to, like, if I don't have that selected, I would have to use the transform tool, so Control T, and then I get that. And that's how I like to do it, really. I don't like to use the show transform controls because, I don't know, I mean, it can be useful in some situations, but not every situation. So I usually keep this unchecked. Now, another thing you can do is here, let me just hide Hedwig and the Sorting Hat for a moment. If I select the Dobby and Hermione layer together, then we get these controls up here available to us. And these are basically going to align the images we have selected. So if I click, for instance, the first icon, it's going to align them both at the very top together. If I select this next icon, it's going to middle align them. If I select the bottom one, it's going to bottom align them, and so forth. You see what I mean? It's if that one centered them together, and then this one over here would justify them to the right. So basically, I don't want to do any of that. What I do, another thing you can do is if you have a layer or any number of layers selected, you can select the entire canvas and then use these, and it's going to align them to the selection. So if I wanted to center them, there we go. I have them centered just by doing that. And it's an easy way to center things. But yeah, that's not what I want to do. So now that we know how to select the layers and do all that, I'm just going to go ahead and ungroup these and delete that group. Okay, so now we're back to where we were. So now that we know how to do that, obviously the Move tool just moves these. So whatever layer you have selected, you can click and drag and move it wherever you want it to go. So if I wanted Dobby over here and Hedwig over here with Dobby, then I could move Hermione up here, and I could put the Sorting Hat on Hermione if I wanted to, just like that. Or I could move Dobby over here, and I could put the Sorting Hat on Dobby. What house do you think Dobby would be sorted into? For some reason, I feel like he would be a Hufflepuff. I don't know why. Now, the next thing we could do is if you had an area selected. So let's say we're on Hedwig's layer, so let's select one of his wings. And then if we use the Move tool, you can see you're just moving the wing around. But that's not something that we want to do right now, so we'll undo that. And remember, whatever layer you're on, that's what you're going to be working with. So if I were to try and select like Hermione's head and move it, I wouldn't be able to do that. As you can see, it says because the selected area is empty, because I have Hedwig's layer selected. So I can't do anything with Hermione's layer while Hedwig's layer is selected. I would have to select Hermione's layer or control click on Hermione in order to get this layer selected. Now, if I wanted to duplicate a layer, like let's say I wanted to duplicate the Sorting Hat, first I would have to select the Sorting Hat layer. So I'm going to control click on the Sorting Hat and then hold Alt, click, and drag. And as you can see, I have just duplicated the Sorting Hat layer. So now I have Hermione with a Sorting Hat and Dobby with a Sorting Hat. And as you can see, I just moved two layers at the same time. So if I hold Control and click on a layer, so now I have Dobby selected. But if I also want to select the Sorting Hat layer, I can Control Shift and click. And so now I have both of those layers selected, as you can see, Sorting Hat and Dobby. And if I wanted to select a third layer, I could Control Shift click on that layer. And now I have Hedwig selected as well. So I can move all of these at the same time. Another thing to keep in mind is that if you are trying to move something and you want it to be precisely in a specific spot, so let's say this Sorting Hat, I want it to be in a precise spot and I can't get it there with my mouse alone very easily, you can also use your arrow keys to move very small increments. So if I'm just pushing my arrow down key right now and moving very small increments with the Sorting Hat. And if you hold Shift and use your arrow keys, it's a bit larger increments. So if that's very useful if you're trying to get something in just the right spot. Also, if I'm moving something like the Sorting Hat here, and I like where it is vertically or horizontally, and I just want to move it vertically or vice versa, I can click on it, hold Shift, and then drag. And as you can see, no matter where my mouse goes up or down right now, it's just moving across that horizontal line. And then also I could do the same thing if I have it horizontally where I want it, but I want it to move vertically. I can click and start moving it vertically and hold Shift, and now it's going to maintain exactly where it is vertically and not move horizontally at all. Now, if you just wanted to duplicate a selected area, so for example, again, if we have Hedwig selected or the Hedwig layer selected, and we grab one of his wings, if you have the move tool selected now and you hold Alt, click and drag, you're just going to duplicate just that wing, but it's going to be in the same layer as Hedwig. So for example, on top of that, if you wanted to duplicate Hedwig's layer completely, you could Alt, click and drag, and now I've duplicated the layer itself, so I've got that second wing in there as well. But I really don't need that second wing, so we're going to delete that. And that is an in-depth look at the move tool. Also, if we were to take the sorting hat and place it on Hedwig. There we go. So let's just say, yeah, the sorting hat is now on Hedwig. So what house do you think Hedwig would be in, and what house do you think Dobby would be in? Like, I feel like both of them would be Hufflepuff, but Dobby more so than Hedwig. If Hedwig was going to be anything other than Hufflepuff, it might be Gryffindor. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I really hope this helped you learn a bit more about Photoshop. If you're interested in more Photoshop tutorials, as well as Harry Potter themed unboxings and DIY videos, which is primarily what this channel is, subscribe if you're not already. And if you're just interested in the Photoshop tutorial side of things, subscribe to Photoshop Wizardry too. Remember, I get a lot of ideas for these DIYs that I do from your comments. So if you have an idea for something that you want to see me do in the future, definitely leave a comment below and let me know. If you're interested in seeing more DIY videos having to do with Harry Potter and more, go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.